Now in the space in front of you, about eye level, visualize the Buddha. He's seated on a very beautiful, open and expansive lotus flower, and then flat discs of radiant moon and sun. His body is made of golden light. His eyes are looking at you with acceptance and compassion. And his whole demeanor and facial expression is very peaceful. Imperturbable. So he has blue hair and the crown protrusion, long earlobes. He's sitting in the Vajra position, wearing the 3 monastic robes. With his right hand touching the earth, his left hand in his lap, with a bowl of an alms bowl filled with nectar. So go over the different parts of the body and then focus on whatever image you get. Hold that with your mindfulness. Have introspective awareness check from time to time if the image is fading, if you're getting distracted or drowsy. If the image is fading or you're distracted, bring yourself back and go over the details of the image again. And if you're drowsy, really brighten the image. Make the golden light and the light from the sun and moon and lotus flower, very brilliant. And again, set your mindfulness on this object of meditation. So again, we'll have some quiet time to do that. And then let's cultivate our motivation for the teaching and form a determination to listen attentively so we can learn the hindrances to generating serenity and concentration and the antidotes to those hindrances so that we can apply them, transform our mind, and then use a concentrated mind to realize the ultimate nature of all persons and phenomena. And by doing that, clear away all the afflictions from our mind. And then, motivated by the altruistic intention to benefit all beings, may we then purify our mind of all defilements whatsoever and attain full awakening. Okay, so to give a little bit of background about meditation in general, there's different ways to speak of meditation or categorize it. One way is into serenity and insight. Serenity, the Sanskrit term is shamatha, and the insight, the Sanskrit term is vipassana, or the vipassana, which is the common Pali term people are familiar with. So, serenity meditation, or meditation designed to gain serenity, is predominantly stabilizing meditation, which means that we want to stabilize our mind on the object of meditation so that we can control the mind. The mind is not wandering here and there and up and down the universe and going into fantasies and so on. Okay, so it's to develop concentration, which is keeping the mind one-pointed. Okay, the other type of meditation is vipassana, or insight, and that is primarily analytic meditation. And analytic doesn't mean that you're thinking with lots of words. It means that you're probing and exploring how things exist, or probing and exploring, trying to understand whatever Dharma topic we're learning. Okay? So right now, and this weekend, we're doing more along the serenity side to stabilize the mind. The insight side is just as important, if not more important. Okay, and the two eventually have to be put together. And we'll find even in generating and practicing serenity that we need analytic meditation to help us subdue the hindrances that make our mind scattered and roam the universe. Okay? There's another way of talking about meditation where we talk about meditation that realizes an object And here we're meditating on an object, such as an object doesn't mean something's a thing that's made of matter. It just means a phenomena, an existent thing. And here we're trying to understand an object such as impermanence or emptiness. We're trying to realize what this is. It's something that we don't know, and we're trying to understand and realize. And then its partner in this other way of categorizing meditation is meditation where we transform our mind into a certain mental state. So, for example, when we meditate on compassion, we're not trying to realize an object. We're trying to transform our mental state into compassion. Okay, so you see there's these two ways of speaking about meditation. There's probably even more, but these are the ones that are spoken about repeatedly. So here we're mostly focusing on the serenity. We'll be doing some analytic meditation, and we're trying to just stabilize the mind, gain some control, or learn to manage the mind. Okay? The idea being that serenity or concentration in and of themselves is not so valuable. It's what you apply them to after you've gained them. Okay? The idea being that there are sentient beings in samsara, in this cycle of rebirth, that have single-pointedness, that have realized serenity. But because they don't have an understanding of cyclic existence or samsara and its disadvantages, so they don't seek to renounce it, then they get born in these higher realms of existence where beings can remain in their state of meditative absorption for a really long time, but because they haven't developed wisdom, then they are still in cyclic existence. And after the karma to be born in these states of meditative absorption ends, then they fall down into the desire realm, which is the realm we're in. Okay? So serenity or concentration, these are techniques, they're skills. They're not an end to themselves. Okay? Because it might be nice to get born in those celestial realms where you can stay in meditative absorption for a long time, but that's not real freedom. It's not real liberation. The very coarse afflictions have been temporarily suppressed, but they haven't been abandoned. So, it's like temporarily living in Beverly Hills, knowing that you're going to have to move to the inner city before long. And that's just not satisfactory, because it doesn't matter whether it's Beverly Hills or the inner city. Both of the areas have problems. Okay? So we want out of the whole cycle of existence altogether. So that's why we have to use the serenity and apply that ability to concentrate to impermanence, to emptiness, unify it with the insight meditation, and then use that to cleanse our mind from the very factors that keep us revolving in cyclic existence, which are the ignorance that misunderstands how things exist, the afflictions like anger and attachment that arise depending on this ignorance, and then all the karma that we create motivated by this. Okay, so it's very important while we're generating serenity that we stay focused on the ultimate aim. Okay. Also, it's important to understand, because I know some people do serenity meditation daily as part of their practice, which is very good. But to realize that you're not going to gain serenity while you're living in the city working a job. Yeah, to just be aware of that so you don't have unrealistic expectations. The scriptures contain a lot of description about the kind of environment that we have to meditate in that is really conducive to gaining serenity. So it has to be a very peaceful environment where, we can have our food, clothing, shelter, and medicine, obtain them very easily, where there's time to do the practice most of the day. Yeah, so you're meditating most of the day with short breaks. You don't have communication with a lot of other people, so no email, no texting, no internet. Yeah. You need to know the teachings on developing serenity. There's a whole body of teachings, so you need to know those and be very clear about the instructions on how to do it, and also have access to a good Dharma teacher or a good Dharma friend who can guide you, so that if you hit blocks in your practice to develop serenity, they can help you unblock. Okay? We also have to keep very good ethical conduct while we're working to develop serenity, and have cultivated a mind of satisfaction and have few needs. Yeah, because without satisfaction and without having few needs and few desires, then your body may be in a secluded place, but your mind is visualizing all the mail order catalogs, and everything you could get on the internet if only you could get to the internet. Yeah. And then while you're on, then you say, well, I'll just go and order these things that I need. And while I'm doing that, I'll check my email and see what's going on in the world, and check Facebook, see what my friends are doing. Yeah, watch the news and faint. And then think that you're going to go right back into retreat with a very quiet, serene mind and continue from where you left off. Okay. While you're waiting for the arrival of the new computer and the television set and your new mattress and your new set of sheets and your electric frying pan and your store of chocolate that you had ordered on the internet. Okay. Okay, so the reason that the treatises describe this to us is so that we have a realistic expectation. Yeah. Otherwise, will think, okay, I can, do serenity meditation for 15 minutes every morning, and in a month or so, I'll have single pointedness. And then, in a month, or, maybe we're slow, we take 2 months, and we haven't generated it, and then we just feel so discouraged, and then discouragement, remember, that's a form of laziness. Then we just give everything up, and we say, this is not worthwhile, so, I'm going to move down back into the city and get that red sports car that I've always wanted. Okay? So we need to do a lot of work on ourselves before we can expect to actualize serenity. Okay? But doing that work on ourselves, learning the teachings, developing a mind that is satisfied and has few wants and desires, that already, doing this preparatory work is going to settle our mind down, as will keeping good ethical conduct. Yeah. So if you go into a retreat to develop serenity with all the conditions, then it's like baking a cake when you have all the ingredients there. But if you start to bake a cake, and okay, you have flour, but then you realize you don't have any butter, and you don't have any eggs, and you don't have any baking soda, and you don't have any flavor, other stuff to put in your cake, then okay, you have the flour, but you're not going to have the cake at the end. So all the time you put into getting all your ingredients is time well worth spent, because once they're together, then you can successfully make your cake, or in our case, successfully attain serenity. Okay, so when you practice this on a daily basis, just know that you're improving your concentration, but don't expect yourself to go into, being able to sit for 4 hours in deep concentration without even hearing a sound or anything like that, okay? Not that you have those 4 hours when you have to get to work. Okay, so be realistic about your practice and improve your concentration, but without unnecessary expectations. Okay. Then, so one important ingredient in our cake making process of serenity is to subdue some of the hindrances. Okay, so there's a set of 5 hindrances that's found in both the Pali tradition and the Sanskrit tradition, and I find it helpful to begin with these because these are the ones to identify most. They're the ones that it's easier to identify in our mind, and that we really need to work on, not only to attain serenity, but also just to be a nice person and to create virtuous karma for our future lives so that we can continue to practice. So these 5 are these hindrances: sensual desire, ill will or malice, dullness and drowsiness. Those 2 go together as one. Restlessness and remorse. Those 2 go together as one. And then the 5th one is doubt. Okay? Just hearing those names, do you have all 5 of those? Okay. Do they pop up in your meditation and disturb you? Do they pop up in your daily life and cause you problems? Okay. So it's very helpful to work on these 5. So the first one is sensual desire. Okay. So this is our mind that is glued to objects of the senses. Human beings are part of the desire realm, meaning that we desire a lot. We're the realm that is most in tune with the external senses. We glorify sense objects. We think that they're the epitome of bliss, and we crave them all the time. Yeah, true or not true? It's true, isn't it? Yeah? So it's interesting to watch, and this is how you'll improve your mindfulness and introspective awareness. Watch how your mind relates to sense objects. Yeah? So you start with things that you see, and how when we walk in the room, we're instantly looking at what is attractive in the room. And, we may look at the walls or the color or the carpet or whatever, or the people. And where are the attractive people? That one's really good looking, And then the mind then we start doing our single-pointed meditation. Yeah, on that really good-looking person. Yeah? Okay. Who says we don't have concentration? Yeah. And always looking, always evaluating, why did they make this color carpet? It could have been a nicer color, why something's crooked, one of the tonkas a little bit crooked. So many opinions about what we see. Yeah. And window shopping, again, you walk in the shopping center because the eyes are really our foremost, the sense that we pay attention to the most. And we're looking at everything. Yeah. And you may go in to get one thing and come out with 10 things because you saw something that just looked too beautiful to pass up. And it was on sale. Yeah. Meaning that they had raised the price before and then lowered it to what's normal. Okay. And you've forgotten about your credit card debt, And even if you don't get it for yourself, it's just so cute. You got to get it for your kids or your sister or, somebody else, Okay, so, we're fixated with things that we see. Then hearing, yeah? Fixated again on sounds, aren't we? What's the first thing you do when you sit in the car? Yeah, turn on the radio. Or now people, I guess you have your I whatever it is, ayayay's, and you can listen to the kind of music you like to hear. You don't have to listen to what they play anymore. Okay, so you want to hear sounds. And then in conversations, we want pleasant conversations, interesting conversations. Conversations with a little bit of praise in them, pointing out our good qualities. That doesn't hurt at all, does it? Yeah. So we want that. We're, very attached to sounds. Smells also. Yeah, very attached to smells. You want, the right aftershave, the right perfume, You got to smell those chocolate brownies. Yeah. And then when they make granola, granola, when you smell it, it smells like chocolate chip cookies. And then you find out it's granola. It's really, this is one of the big disappointments. Okay. We're very focused on taste. What are they having for lunch? Is it something I like? Did they put enough salt in it or too much salt in it? Okay. Did they mix the ingredients in that I like? Or, they put in this one ingredient I don't like. They ruined the whole thing. They put olives on the pizza. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm just letting you know I don't like olives so that you don't put them on the pizza when you make it. Okay, but I'm not attached to that. You can ruin the pizza all you want. I know other people like olives, and it makes them happy. Let them be happy. I'm cultivating compassion, you see. Okay, so attached to taste. Attached to tactile sensations. Okay? The room's too hot, the room's too cold, the bed's too soft, the bed's too hard, the pillow's too flat, the pillow's too fluffy. Yeah? My clothes are scratchy. I want nice, gentle feeling on my very delicate baby skin, so attached to physical sensations. We don't like to be hungry or thirsty. We don't like to be tired. Okay, so do you see why, this fascination, this obsession? Somebody brought up obsession the other night. Yeah, our obsession with sense objects. Yeah, this gets in the way of our developing concentration, doesn't it? Yeah, because when you get distracted, what's the most frequent thing that you get distracted to? With some of us, it's anger objects. But with most of us, it's objects of sensual pleasure. Yeah? Now you might think, well, but I just want the promotion. A promotion is not a sensual object. What's wrong with wanting a promotion? Okay. Well, besides then having the reward of working longer days, your promotion essentially boils down to the senses. You want to hear the words, you've got the promotion. You want to see the paycheck that reflects the promotion. Okay? You want to see, maybe your certificate or your name in the company newsletter or something about the promotion. So all these things boil down to, our obsession with sense objects, as well as, what these sense objects symbolize for our self-esteem and for our feelings about ourselves. Okay, so always looking outside for pleasure, for affirmation that we're good people, that we're worthwhile. Okay, and so this comes and disturbs our meditation quite a bit, doesn't it? Yeah. This is one of the reasons why they recommend when you're cultivating both ethical discipline and serenity, that you limit your interaction with sense objects. Because as soon as you contact them, we have so many opinions about them. We like, we don't like. We prefer, we don't prefer. We want, we don't want. Okay? So you learn to walk more with your eyes down when you go into town, instead of looking at everything in the windows and, looking at the TVs and the shops and what's playing and so on. Okay? So you really try and limit your exposure to sense objects so it doesn't trigger these things. Then internally, so that's the external behavior that you use to help you. But internally, we have to do a lot of meditation on things like impermanence, seeing that all these sense objects don't last for very long. Yeah, they come quickly and they go away quickly, and there's nothing we can hold on to while they're there, because they're changing momentarily. Yeah. So as the more you get a sense of impermanence and how transient things are, then the less attached we are to feelings of pleasure and pain, because we know they go away very quickly. And the less attached we are to the sense objects that cause that pleasure and pain, because we know that they break and they go away and they disappear. So as soon as we come together with someone or something that brings us sensual pleasure or worldly happiness, from the moment we come together, we're in the process of separating. And separation is inevitable. So if we do some really strong meditation on this, then we come to see, since separation is inevitable, there's no use getting attached to these things. By attachment, I mean exaggerating their good qualities and then craving never to be separated from them. Okay? And instead, we develop an ability to use what's there and be with what's there, but when it's not there, we're okay. We don't crash and burn. Okay? This takes a lot of powerful meditation, because we so often, our identity, our self-esteem is linked to all these sense objects in the external world. You know, the kind of car we have, the kind of partner, the kind of job, the things that we have in our house we use to create an image of the kind of person we are. All these things, you know, where we go on vacation, all of these things are used to bolster our self-esteem, to create an image of who we are, and to give us pleasure, sense pleasure. So we have to really start, seeing that isn't genuine pleasure. Yeah. It's nice, enjoy it while it's there, but don't expect it to last forever, and don't put all your eggs in that basket. Okay? Instead, turn your mind inward and try and develop inner contentment. Develop the qualities that you want to have as a human being. Because if you develop those qualities, then wherever you go and whoever you're with, you're going to be peaceful and content. Okay? Without those inner qualities, then everywhere you go, no matter who you're with, it could always be better. Yeah? And we're, caught in this cycle of grasping and then disappointment, and more grasping and more disappointment. Okay? Yeah? So I'm not trying to take away all the meaning of your life. in saying this. I'm trying to redirect the meaning of your life to the development of internal qualities that the Dharma teaches, so that we can unstick ourselves from the obsession with external objects and sense stimuli. Okay? Yeah?
So I got an email from the Abbey that they needed more fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So I go into Costco, and the fruits and vegetables are in the back of the store. So when you come in, it's the big screen TVs, the electronics. I need to walk with my head down like this to run the gauntlet so I can get to the fruits and vegetables.
These people who set up the store are very smart.
Dummies, yeah, I know. It's just funny. It's a Dharma lesson just to go into Costco.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So, you'll be doing in the morning and evening meditation some of the meditations that help us to reduce the sensual attachment and reduce the ill will, which I'll talk about in the next session. Okay. And the other hindrances. Right? Yeah. Yes?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are these hindrances related to the worldly dharmas?
Yeah, they are, aren't they? Especially the first two, the sensual attachment and ill will are very related to the sets of 8 worldly dharmas, where one is an attachment and one is an aversion. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you talked at the outset about the baking the cake for serenity,
Uh-huh.
are you going to an extreme to make a point? Or are you saying that you can't be serene in the outside world?
No, I'm saying you can increase your level of concentration in the outside world, and you can certainly learn to calm your mind, but the actual realization of serenity, which has a particular definition, is extremely difficult to gain without having all the proper situation. Okay? So that's what I'm trying, so that you don't do serenity meditation every morning for 15 minutes and then after 2 months or 2 years say, I haven't actualized serenity yet, this is not worthwhile, or the Buddha lied to me, or something like that. So, I'm trying to show so that you have reasonable expectations, and so that you know that when it comes time to really develop actual serenity, you make sure to cultivate the proper conditions.
So with proper expectations, if you lived in a busy urban environment with all that you talk about, be that these are tools and techniques to help me better, do better, cope better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, learning to calm your mind is definitely going to help you in your busy urban life, isn't it? Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah?
Suppose if you're like an alcoholic, then you wouldn't want to surround yourself by bottles of vodka, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're an alcoholic, don't meet your friends in the bar. If you weigh 300 pounds, don't meet your friends in the ice cream shop. It's just, don't put yourself in situations where attachment can explode. Mm-hmm.
So you said there are 2 types of meditation, which is serenity and insight.
Yeah.
And then you talk about other 2, that is realizes an object and transform your mental state.
Uh-huh.
Where do these 2
No, the last two don't correspond to the first two.
So there are 4 types then?
No, it's 2 different ways of looking at things. Yeah. And you can apply serenity and insight. For example, the meditation where you're trying to understand an object. Yeah, let's say you're trying to understand impermanence or emptiness. Then you're going to use the analytic meditation of insight to understand emptiness, and then focus with the stabilizing meditation of serenity on that. Okay, so there's some overlap between these. Okay. Yeah? Yeah.
You said that we need to spend most of the day in meditation in order to...
Generate serenity.
Is it possible to be so in the moment with what you're doing? You're feeding the animals or you're doing the dishes? That's a form of meditation?
That's not what is technically called meditation. I know nowadays in the West we like to think of that as meditation, but that's not what the scriptures refer to as meditation. Okay? So similarly, you might be an artist or a musician or a writer or feeding the animals or whatever, and you have a strong concentration in what you're doing, but that's not the same concentration that we're developing in meditation. Okay? Mm-hmm.
For the insight groups in the United States, what kind of vipassana do they primarily do?
They're mostly focusing using the breath as an object. Yeah. And then I don't know how much they go into impermanence and selflessness and emptiness while doing that. I'm not sure. Better to ask them. Yeah?
Quick question going back to visualizing the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
Where I get a little bit confused is, okay, Buddha was a man. I was raised Catholic, by the way, so that might explain some of my going back to this part. Like, Buddha was a man, and then he has all these great teachings, and that's why, we get positive imprints, we visualize him, and we think of all his great qualities. I understand that part.
Mm-hmm.
But then as we get to sort of like his eyes, he's looking at you like he loves you. I almost feel like I'm hearing Christianity again. It's almost like he's God and he loves you. And I know that's not what it is. I understand that it's not that. But I almost get flashbacks of that when I hear that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are nodding because I'm a Catholic. So the whole idea of all of Buddhism is to not be reborn human. But it seems like when we think of the Buddha, we're going back to, I imagine Buddhists can become anything they want. They can become, the dog in the road when that guy came down from the cave and he needed.
Yeah.
I heard a story. There's all these great stories about the Buddhists can do anything or be anything. But it's almost like the whole goal is not to be a human. But then we go back to visualizing the Buddha as a human with loving eyes.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, first of all, the whole goal is not to be born human. The whole goal is to attain full awakening, and liberation from cyclic existence. Yeah, we need a good, what's called a precious human life, to have the good conditions to practice to attain those higher spiritual goals. Okay. The reason we're meditating on the Buddha, looking at it as a human, is because the Buddhas manifest in ways that we can relate to them. The Buddha's omniscient mind, fully realized mind, is beyond our ability to contact it directly, because we're very gross and we're completely involved in the senses. Okay? So the Buddhas appear as a human being, because that is a sense object that we can relate to, but in a different way than we relate to other sense objects. Okay? So if you're hearing God in this discussion, then it's a good way to go back and think about the differences between Buddhism and Christianity. and that clearly the purpose of visualizing the Buddha. What's the purpose of thinking? Do you visualize God looking at you?
For Christians,
Yeah?
they have the saints, and then you pray to the saints. Like one, you bury them in the ground upside down to sell your house. And we have saints for everything. So Jesus, he loves you. He's these beautiful blue eyes in the Western world. I'm sure different parts of the world he looks different. But, he just loves you, and he's handsome, and it's almost like that same kind of a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it superficially it may look like the same kind of thing, but actually the meaning is different. Okay, because the idea isn't, we don't see Buddha as a savior and turn everything over to the Buddha. Yeah, we look at the Buddha as a guide, as a teacher who's giving us the instructions that then we have to check out and implement on our own. Okay? And we're not worshiping the Buddha just because the Buddha needs to be worshipped. Yeah. But if we make offerings or bow or whatever, it's because we need to develop the qualities that those activities generate. When we make offerings, we learn to become more giving and have less attachment, less miserliness. When we bow, we humble ourselves, which makes it easier for us to gain good qualities. So, whenever your mind slips into a Christian interpretation, then take that as an opportunity to come back to, what is the Buddhist meaning of these things?
So just real quick follow-up, not to belabor it. So I misspoke when I said not to be born human. I understand the human is better than animal realms and hungry ghosts and all that. But ultimately, I thought the idea was that we don't have these bodies anymore.
Yeah.
Even as gods, where you're just blissful and you don't practice. But I guess I get a little bit confused back to the original question. Like, what is the ultimate? Is it a light? Is it an energy? Is it, the Buddha body's like, what's the best way to visualize that? I know we can't in our world, but.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the Buddha's mind is not something we can visualize. Okay? The Buddha's body, which is an appearance to energize us and teach us, is something we can visualize. Yeah? So the reason the Buddha manifests in physical form is for our benefit, to fulfill the purposes and the aims of sentient beings. The Buddhas gain the realization of omniscient mind and so on to fulfill their own purpose, their own spiritual aims. But we can't communicate with that directly. Does that make some sense? Okay. So I want to come back to the thing about you being concentrated and while feeding the animals and living in the city and everything. And I want to be very clear about this, that I'm not trying to discourage people at all. But I'm just saying it's really important to have correct understandings and realistic expectations so that we can practice for a long time. Because the path is not quick, cheap, and easy. It may be cheap, but it's, because you don't have to pay for enlightenment. But it's not cheap in the sense of worthless. Yeah. But it's not quick. And it's not, a snap of the fingers easy. So it's going to take effort. That's why Friday night, remember how many times effort came up in those 37, It takes effort, it takes repetition, it takes perseverance, it takes fortitude, yeah? And because we need to really practice for a long time. And so it's important to build that mind from the beginning that has inner strength and is willing to practice for a long time, because we have, complete confidence in the goal. And so we see the goal as something so worthwhile that however long it takes and whatever we have to go through, we're going to do that. Because the alternative is messing around in samsara for some more. And we've been there, done that, got the t-shirt millions of times already. So we need to cultivate that, that inner strength. Okay? Yeah. These 2 questions and then we'll stop.
So
Yeah.
the realization of shamatha, is that reversible or irreversible?
The realization of shamatha. If you don't continue to practice, you lose it. Yeah? And if you, at the time of death, are born into a celestial realm, you have it while you're there. But then when that karma runs out, then your shamatha is also gone.
And we've all been in those realms.
And we've all been in those realms. Yeah? We've all been born in those realms before. So.
The fortunate realm is
Uh-huh.
gods, demigods, and human beings.
Yeah.
Could you please explain how gods, why it's better to have a human life than to be a god or a demigod?
Yeah, because it's, as human beings, we have the right balance of happiness and suffering to keep us on our toes. In the God realms, you have so much pleasure that you become complacent. Yeah? It's kind of like, if you're living in, I better not say that. If you're living in an expensive condo in Manhattan, living in the up social circles in Manhattan, do you have much impetus to get free of samsara because you see a lot of suffering or experience a lot of suffering? No, you're completely enveloped in your world and distracted, with the mind, with all the glitter. Whereas, so that's like the God realms. Yeah, you're just so into all your pleasure that, suffering, that happens to other people. That doesn't happen to me. I don't need to be concerned with that. Okay? Whereas human realm, we have enough suffering. Because we all get sick, don't we? And we all get disappointed, and we all have things not work out the way we want them to work out. So those experiences make us question, what is my life about? Yeah, what am I trying to attain in my life? And what's really meaningful? So that at the end of this life, I have a good feeling about what I've done. Yeah? So that balance of happiness and suffering provokes us to think more deeply. If we're born in a lower realm, there's too much suffering. We can't think about that. Or there's too much ignorance. Yeah? In the God realm, too much, heavenly bliss. So, we're said to be quite fortunate.